Deep within the hidden forests of the Eastern Collective lies a commune so ideologically pure that its very existence is treated as myth by the outside world. A place without individual ambition, without personal property, and without the burden of choice. It is known simply as the Smurf Republic, a model of socialist perfection maintained through centuries of unwavering discipline. For as long as anyone can remember, the Republic has been guided by one man, Papa Smurf, philosopher, scientist, father of the people. His age is unknown, his wisdom unquestioned. Official histories claim he has ruled for centuries, preserved not by medicine nor magic, but by ideological purity alone. The loyal servant of the collective, they say, need not fear death. The revolution sustains him. But beneath the surface of this perfect society lies a far more complicated truth. The Republic did not become harmonious by accident. Long ago, Papa Smurf made the decision that would define its future. He decreed that biological families must be abolished. Families, he argued, create loyalties that compete with the state, and so the female Smurfs disappeared. The official records say they volunteered for relocation to distant territories. These territories, of course, do not exist. Their disappearance marked the beginning of the new order. With natural reproduction eliminated, Papa Smurf turned to science. Deep beneath the village, in a vast subterranean complex, new Smurfs are grown in translucent vats of nutrient gel. Identical in appearance, identical in temperament, identical in loyalty. Each clone is activated only when the collective requires new workers. It was hailed as a triumph of socialist engineering, a perfect system for a perfect society. Perfection, however, requires constant maintenance. In the early days of the Republic, some clones began displaying troubling anomalies: curiosity, humor, independent thought. Papa Smurf acted swiftly. After years of experimentation, he introduced mandatory daily injections of a serum known only as Substance 47B. Within hours, every Smurf turned red, symbolizing unity with the revolution. The serum dulled dangerous impulses. It prevented rebellion. It softened critical thinking. It anchored every Smurf to the collective mind. And so the slogan was born: Red Smurf equals Good Smurf. Years passed. The Republic expanded. New mushroom homes rose from the forest floor. Production quotas soared. And Papa Smurf announced his most ambitious project yet: the 5-year mushroom plan. 10,000 berries harvested each cycle. Full communal labor participation. Perfect ideological enthusiasm across all citizens. And total self-sufficiency in Substance 47B production. There was, however, a small complication. The berry harvest had failed. A series of agricultural accidents blamed on shifting weather patterns and minor sabotage had reduced yields to almost nothing. Rations were cut from 3 berries a day to 2, then to 1, and eventually to none. The famine began. Though officially it was referred to only as a temporary abundance delay, the truth was felt in every stomach. Chief Engineer Smurfatloff, director of the 47B production facility, assured Papa Smurf that increased serum output would stabilize morale until the next harvest. He insisted that the facility was running smoothly. According to his calculations, the serum vats were safe. The serum vats, he repeated many times, could not explode. It was chemically impossible. Meanwhile, the Red Caps, the Republic's elite security force, maintained order through mandatory optimism sessions and random enthusiasm inspections. They roamed the village with clipboards, recording smiles, tallying chants, and escorting any insufficiently cheerful citizens to re-education camps. Those who entered the re-education program did not return. Papa Smurf explained they had been transferred to agricultural collectives in remote territories. The people accepted this explanation, for they had no evidence to contradict it. Unbeknownst to the Republic, a threat was growing just beyond its borders. In a crumbling cabin built without permission or oversight lived Gargamel, the alchemist, a man driven by a dangerous ideology, the ideology of individual liberty, a man who believed in markets, competition, and the gold standard. To him, the Smurf Republic represented everything wrong with collectivism: artificial scarcity, central planning, the suppression of excellence. He spent years studying forbidden economic texts, convinced that the collapse of the Republic was inevitable. But Gargamel was not merely a theorist. He was an alchemist, and alchemical texts whispered of a forbidden truth. Smurfs could be ground into gold, not metaphorically, literally. One Smurf equaled 3 ounces. The entire commune represented the greatest untapped fortune in the region, enough to restore the gold standard to every kingdom for generations. If the Smurfs would not embrace liberty voluntarily, Gargamel would impose it by force. But he knew a direct assault would fail. The Redcaps were too loyal, the collective too unified. He needed a weapon that could reach where armies could not, a psychological weapon. The creation process took years. Clay, moonflower essence, a spark of free will, and the result was something the Republic had not seen in 3 centuries. A female Smurf, Smurfette, designed to be charming, kind, empathetic, everything the revolution had eliminated. Her purpose was simple: infiltrate the commune, introduce desire, instill jealousy, ignite the one thing Substance 47B could not erase: individuality. Her arrival struck the Republic like fallout from a reactor breach. Within hours, Smurfs were competing for her attention, writing secret poetry, offering her flowers, requesting private mushroom assignments rather than communal housing. A society engineered for emotional emptiness found itself overwhelmed with feeling. When Brainy Smurf reported to Papa Smurf that the workers were writing romantic poetry, the alarm was immediate. Papa Smurf realized this was no ordinary citizen. This was an ideological weapon, designed to undermine 3 centuries of conditioning. He declared that Smurfette posed an existential threat to the Republic and must be neutralized. But it was already too late. Productivity collapsed. Quotas failed. The Redcaps were overwhelmed by spontaneous displays of affection and unauthorized daydreaming. The entire 5-shroom plan teetered on the edge of catastrophic failure. In desperation, Papa Smurf ordered triple doses of Substance 47B for all citizens. Chief Engineer Smurfatloff protested, pointing at pressure gauges, warning that the vats were not designed for such output. But Papa Smurf insisted. The serum must flow. The commune must be preserved. At dawn, the impossible occurred. The primary serum vat exploded. A cloud of diluted 47B rained across the village. The red pigment faded from Smurf's skin, and the blue beneath returned, along with memory. The Smurfs remembered the purge. They remembered the vats. They remembered that obedience had been forced upon them. The Redcaps fled first. Without the serum, they were simply Smurfs in larger hats. The Republic collapsed into chaos. Papa Smurf retreated into a sealed bunker deep beneath the village, known only as the Crimson Basement. There he intended to wait out the turmoil. For centuries he had survived crises by retreating to the Crimson Basement, and for centuries the people had believed his survival was miraculous. Smurfette reached the bunker first, and there she discovered the truth. Rows of failed clones suspended in crimson fluid, a grotesque assembly of discarded lives, and Papa Smurf himself, attached to an intravenous drip of pure adrenochrome, extracted from defective clones to sustain his unnatural longevity. His body, without the serum, withered by the minute. He reached out to her and whispered that the collective required sacrifice. That unity demanded difficult choices, that the commune must survive at any cost. Smurfette replied with a truth that none in the Republic had dared speak. The collective was a lie, and so was he. She severed the tubes. 3 centuries of stolen time caught up to him in seconds. Above ground, Gargamel launched his offensive. His gold grinding machine rumbled toward the ruined commune, capable of vacuuming entire groups of Smurfs into its chambers and converting them into bullion. As he approached, he dropped leaflets demanding liberty, sound money, and an audit of the Crimson Basement. The disoriented Smurfs, newly freed from conditioning, did not know what to think. They had been raised to believe capitalism evil. Yet Papa Smurf had lied about everything. Perhaps everything else was a lie too. Smurfette saw what was coming. She knew Gargamel's methods. She knew the machine's design. She climbed onto the mechanism, opened the lubrication reservoir, and replaced its contents with berry juice. The gears seized almost instantly. Heat built, sparks flew, and the machine exploded, scattering gold dust and libertarian pamphlets across the forest. The captured Smurfs tumbled free. Gargamel fled, muttering that the market would correct itself. After Smurfette sabotaged Gargamel's machine and the gold dust settled across the ruined commune, the Smurfs stared at her in stunned silence. For the first time in centuries, no leader stood above them. No quotas echoed through the loudspeakers. No serum dulled their thoughts. No secret police lurked in the shadows. Only the forest, only the cold, only the truth. The truth that they were free. Not safe, not orderly, not prepared, but free. Some trembled, some cried. Some whispered Papa Smurf's name, instinctively waiting for instructions that would never come. And yet none of them knelt. Not to Smurfette, not to Gargamel, not to anyone. Smurfette stood before them, exhausted and shaking, uncertain whether she had saved them or doomed them. She expected anger, confusion, or blame. Instead, one small Smurf stepped forward. He held a berry, shriveled, half-rotten, precious, and offered it to another Smurf beside him. No one had ordered him to share. No law demanded it. He simply chose to. A second Smurf followed, then a third. Soon, a dozen. A simple act spread through the village like dawn. The Smurfs looked at each other with fear, yes, but also with something unfamiliar, something long suppressed, something fragile but real. Possibility. For the first time in their lives, they were not acting out of obedience. They were acting out of their own will. Smurfette turned away and quietly left the square. She had no place there. Her purpose had been fulfilled. As she walked toward the forest, she heard voices behind her, uncertain, clumsy, hopeful voices, trying to decide what to do next. Not because they were told to, because they wanted to. She smiled, just slightly. The Smurf Republic had fallen. What came next would be difficult, dangerous, chaotic, and unpredictable. But this time, it would be theirs. And for Smurfette, that was enough. Freedom had not promised comfort. It had not guaranteed safety. It had offered only one gift, the right to choose a path. And though the Smurfs would stumble and fall and argue and fail, their future, for the first time in centuries, belonged to them. No more Papa, no more quotas, no more chains. Just a small village, a cold forest, and a chance. A chance was enough. Comrades, if you wish to support the revolution, consider becoming a member or joining the Patreon. You'll find links in the description to the tools I use to make these videos, as well as our merchandise store. Until next time, this is Wally signing off.